Are we live? Going live? Gone live?
Anant, we are live. You please start.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anand, and on behalf of Godrej Material Handling, I welcome you to our next webinar from our storage and handling series titled Different Type of Warehouse Trucks. This is the fifth webinar from our Godrej and Boys, conducted as a part of the Storage and Handling Knowledge series, where we, using this platform, share our knowledge on material handling equipment, which we have gained over the last 50 plus years in the industry. We are encouraged in our endeavor by the positive feedback we received by all our attendees for the previous webinars, as we conduct these knowledge sharing webinars on regular basis under the umbrella of this series, with an aim to cover concepts on both storage solutions and material handling equipment, while at the same time try our best to answer any doubts which you may have on these topics. Coming to today's webinars on different type of warehouse trucks, we will learn more about warehouse trucks and the large family falling under the different classes of material handling equipment. We will also understand how to choose the right warehouse truck for your material handling needs. Today's webinar is being presented by Mr. Abhishek Chaturvedi, who is the Associate General Manager Marketing in the Material Handling Division of Godrej and Boyce. He started his career in the Storage Solutions Division of the same company in the year 2000 and has expertise in optimum racking and material solutions in the interlogistic space across multiple industries in India, backed by almost 20 years of experience. Before I move on, I would like to request everyone to please put their questions in the chat box on the right hand side. And if you have logged in as anonymous, please do remember to write in your name so we can get back to you during or after the webinar. With that, I request Mr. Abhishek Chaturvedi to take over, and I wish everyone an insightful session.
So can you unmute yourself? You're on mute, Mr. Abhishek Chaturvedi.
So sorry about that. So thank you, Anant, for that nice and brief introduction. So as mentioned by Anant, we have defined the storage and handling knowledge series platform to be able to continuously share whatever we have gained as knowledge over the last more than 5 decades in the intralogistic space as a means of giving back to the industry what we have gained from it. So in the first few webinars, what we have covered is about the general concepts in material handling to understand what are the key things that people need to take care of. Then we spoke something about seismic racking. Then in the next webinar, we spoke about the different types of forklift trucks based on the feedback received from attendees. And after that, we did a session on safety in warehouses. Now, in today's webinar is in continuation to what we have done so far. Now, this session is on warehouse trucks. As you will see in forthcoming slides, that there is a definite categorization of these type of equipment. And there is a specific reason why these equipment have been conceived and they are being used in industries, because these are based on different types of applications. So it's very important that we choose the right equipment for the right application to get the maximum out of that combination of racking plus space plus equipment, because ultimately these are very important links to your supply chain. Now with that, I would like to start my presentation. So the topic is different types of warehouse trucks. So before we move on, this is just a recap of what we have covered in the previous session on different types of forklifts, so that everybody is able to capture that there are different categories of equipment based on the way they are designed. So the class 1 is the electric forklifts in simple layman terms. Now, while I'm going through this presentation, I would just like to put in a small disclaimer, which I do every time, that we are trying to cover very basic, easy to understand, simple knowledge with our attendees. And it's possible that many of you would be experts in this field already, and you will have enough know-how about this category of products, and it may sound very basic for you guys who are experts. But again, in the interest of the varied mix of people that we get, which is right from solution designers to consultants to many people who are not part of this industry, I'm trying to keep this session as simplistic and as grounded as possible without getting too much into technology, so that the basic concepts are well understood by the audience. So please bear with me if I sound a bit basic while explaining certain concepts, but I think it is in the interest of the larger audience. So with that, I'll come back to what I am presenting here, that this is the class 1 series is about electric forklifts. Class 2 is electric rider warehouse trucks. These are narrow aisle trucks like reach trucks, stock pickers. They are part of class 2. Class 3 are those trucks which are pedestrian powered trucks like powered pallet trucks, stackers. So these are, so with a laser pointer you can see these are the trucks which are generally like used as a pedestrian operation. Class 4 and 5 are IC engine trucks. Based on whether solid tires are used or pneumatic tires are used, they are put in either class 4 and 5. Class 6 are the engine or battery operated tractors. Class 7 is the rough terrain forklifts with telehandlers and all that. And class 8 are the so-called burden carriers like low-end hand pallet trucks, manual and semi-electric stackers. So just to summarize, class 1, 4 and 5 are the forklifts, whereas class 2 and 3 and 8 are essentially the warehouse trucks. But to cover the entire gamut, we are even covering class 6 in this segment, so as to complete this overview on the product categories that we generally have in a plant or a warehouse environment. So today we are going to talk about these category of equipment: pallet trucks, stackers, reach trucks, order pickers, very narrow aisle equipment, tow trucks and platform trucks. So let us begin with the very basic equipment used in any industry. So while we are categorizing these products as warehouse trucks, but as you can understand, these are products which are generally used inside the premises, not like forklifts which are used generally outside the premises. So that's why they have been bunched up in this phrase like warehouse trucks. So this hand pallet truck is a very basic utility item in any industry, and but you will be interested to know that there are very many varieties of these simple looking type of products. The basic hand pallet truck is generally a 2.5 ton capacity pallet truck. It comes in different fork spreads depending on your pallet size, and the wheel types also, like you can have either polyurethane or nylon wheels, or you can, like you can see here, there are twin wheels here. So there are applications where you can get single wheels here. So these are PU wheels. You can also get nylon wheels here. And this next category is the stainless steel pallet trucks, which are generally used in environments which are susceptible to corrosion. Like this is generally MS and this is fully SS. So these are the type of basic hand pallet trucks which are there. Then the next category is scissor pallet truck. Now this is a very interesting product. because many times near a work table or near your dies and fixtures, you need to keep maybe a drawing or a toolbox or something like that. So you can use this pallet truck to first carry that to the table and then lift it, and it remains stationary there like a temporary table for you. Then the next category that we have is something called as hand pallet truck with weighing scale. Now this pallet truck is generally used where people want to get an idea of the load that they are handling, whether it is within limits or not. So I would just like to put a small sort of a caution here that the reading of this pallet truck should not be taken for certification purpose. It is mainly for indication purpose, and it is certainly not under the category of government approved weighing scales. This is just to give you an idea about that loads, just to do a quick stock checking or something like that. So it is important for you to understand that when you are procuring this type of hand pallet truck, you are not necessarily procuring a weighing scale. You are procuring a hand pallet truck with a weighing scale, which gives operators an idea of the load that they are handling. So the next in the category is the next upgrade from a hand pallet truck, which is called a powered hand pallet truck. Now these are very small sort of footprint equipment, which are converting the manual operations of hand pallet truck into fully powered. For example, in hand pallet truck, you are doing the pumping and the moving, pushing, pulling completely manually, and it fatigues out the operators over a period of time. So to take care of that, this product is available in the market, which is a lithium-ion powered hand pallet truck. Just a small video for you to appreciate how it operates. So as you can see, that the person is not required to now pump the hand pallet truck. He just pushes a button and the pallet raises, and he doesn't have to drag it like that. He can just use the battery to move it. So that was powered hand pallet truck. Now just a quick calculation just to show that how this powered hand pallet truck, especially in today's time where companies are facing labor shortage, how a powered hand pallet truck can help. So a bit of a study has shown that one powered hand pallet truck can be can replace 3 hand pallet trucks. So just a bit of a rough calculation we have done. Of course, it may change from application to application, but this is just to give you an idea that if a hand pallet truck costs say 100 units, a powered hand pallet truck will cost somewhere around 830 units, and we have taken some assumption of a salary of an operator in some sort of notional terms, just to give an idea. So basically you start saving from the first year itself. If you can put some accurate figures here and all that, these are calculations which are easily done, because with every hand pallet truck you will need an operator, and with every operator comes the cost associated with that operator. Now the life of a powered hand pallet truck is generally 5 years, if not more, whereas a hand pallet truck is generally seen to be replaced in a span of 2.5 years, not more than that. So you can understand that in a lifespan of one powered hand pallet truck, you will actually be using 6 hand pallet trucks. So basis that the total saving will be a good amount of saving. Okay, but of course there will be a maintenance expense for the powered pallet truck. There will be some expenses towards charging of the battery. But the point that we are trying to make here is that the benefits that you get often by saving on the operator expense and the upfront cost of equipment itself will outweigh even the maintenance expense if they are put in the calculation. Okay, so this was just to give you a know-how that this is how you can take care of that labor shortage issue if you have any. The next segment we are talking about powered pallet trucks. Now just to give you a quick difference, that earlier we spoke about powered hand pallet truck. Now we are talking about powered pallet truck, which is a fully powered version, like a powered hand pallet truck, but with a platform. So when you want the operators to travel long distances, work with a lot of speed and a lot of continuity, then a powered pallet truck will be a right choice rather than a powered hand pallet truck, where again the person has to walk along with the hand pallet, along with the pallet. Okay. Again, in powered pallet trucks, there are many varieties which are available. They range from 2 ton to 3.5 ton capacity. It's generally a 24 volt system. It has operator platform, AC traction motors, general safety features like lift lockout, so their batteries do not go into deep discharge. You have full functional control handle, so that you are able to the operator is able to operate like seamlessly without looking for the controls here and there. So it's a fully developed product which is available in the market. But the interesting part again here is that we have always known powered pallet truck to be only one type, whereas there's been a lot of evolution in this product with different types of powered pallet trucks being available. Like you have something called a sit down powered pallet truck, you have stand up powered pallet truck, you have powered pallet truck with fixed platform, with, like you are seeing here, is it's a foldable platform. Now this is a stand up, this is a sit down. So similarly, you will have a platform which is fixed and you can enter from rear or you can enter from side. So many varieties are available and each is as per the defined application. So you can use powered pallet truck to transfer pallets over long distances. So the general purpose of a powered pallet truck is to carry palletized loads from one point in a factory or a warehouse to another. Okay, so generally it is used in clearing of the staging area and feeding the racking area, where generally a product like a reach truck or an articulated forklift or a stacker is working to feed it completely, and whatever pallet is kept outside the aisle to bring it back to the staging area for dispatching it to the outside location. So now many times there are queries whether a powered pallet truck can be used over dock levelers and for container stuffing, destuffing or not. So we would just like to handle those queries by saying that yes, they can be used on dock levelers and they can be used for container stuffing, destuffing purposes. The only thing that we have to be careful about is that the surface at which the BOPT is operating is meshed with the truck floor. The surface of the dock leveler is meshing with the truck floor, truck bed, because if there is a gap there while returning, especially in loaded condition, it will struggle to climb that sort of aberration which will be created, and it will lead to wear and tear of the wheels. The second point that has to be taken care of is the flooring of that container or the truck where a BOPT is being taken. If there are a lot of serrations or the flooring is unsmooth in that, then it is going to create an issue for the powered pallet truck. But in principle, yes, it can be used on dock levelers. Yes, it can be used in for taking out palletized load from containers. So these are few applications that we have, application photographs that we have shown for hand pallet trucks, powered pallet trucks. I'm sorry. Just a quick video. So from this we move on to the stackers. So in stackers, again, it's a very wide range. As I said that this is like powered pallet truck. This is also in class 3 category of trucks, which is like pedestrian equipment. But again, there are lots and lots of varieties which are available in stackers, which are totally as per the application. So the first very basic stacker, generally when people are graduating from pallet truck to something that they have to lift, the first level of upgradation when they want to go say one high is a manual stacker. Now in manual stacker, the operation is such that you have to pump to take it to a height of say 1.6 meter, which is the height available for this truck, and it's a capacity of about 1 ton at base and about 700 kgs at 1.6 meters. But where the speeds are not very important, the investments for this product are also very low. So for those type of applications, this is a perfect fit. Now, if you want a slight level of mechanization, so right from completely manual to semi-electric, here your traction movement is push and pull, whereas the lifting and lowering is battery operated. It is powered. Okay, so wherever your lifting and lowering operations are more, and you want to continuously do that operation, and it is lot of fatigue and lot of time taking to pump the pallet to that level, and plus you want to go higher, like this equipment is available up to around 3.3 meters in the market. So a 1 ton capacity, about 700 at the top, 3.3 meters lift height, not very high speed operations. So you can go in for a semi-electric stacker. The next and the most popular category of stackers are fully electric stackers, which are available in the capacity of 1.2 to 1.5 ton capacity. And you have two broad versions here. One version is a fork over type and the other is the straddle type. So if you see, this is the fork over type where the forks come and rest over the straddles. And this is the straddle type where you can see the forks are in between the two straddles. Now, what is the difference in usage of these two stackers? The difference is that the closed pallets cannot be handled by this type of stacker. Okay, because both forks and the straddle have to go simultaneously inside that opening for the lifting to happen. So for closed type of pallets, this product is used, where if we are saying that stacker is the selected equipment, but for open type of pallets, this is the perfect fit for handling open type pallets or palletized loads using open pallets. The only thing that we have to understand here is that when you are keeping these wide straddles, even the racking has to be designed accordingly, because you will need to keep certain extra clearances to accommodate these wide straddles. Whereas for fork over stacker, because it is going below the pallet, you don't need those additional clearances which you need in this particular product. I hope I am able to explain that. If not, there are photographs to show that. As I said, this product comes in a capacity of 1.2 to 1.5 ton. Again, like a BOPT, all the constituents generally remain the same. It's a 24 volt system, except the fact that it has a mast to facilitate lifting of pallets up to a height of 6.3 meters, which is about 21 feet. So now this is what I was trying to point out when I was explaining the in the previous slides. See, your straddles have to go along the pallet, whereas in this case the straddles are going inside the pallet. While placing the pallet on the top, the straddles are going below the bottom pallet. So if it is a closed pallet, then there will be an issue. And this beam span that you have, you need to keep a bit wider to accommodate these wide legs. Just a small video to explain. So I'm sure you would have been able to now sort of visualize that how the forks are coming and resting over the straddles, and that's how these are the open type of pallets where both straddle and the forks have to go inside. The next category is another interesting category is a counterbalance stacker. Now this is a very unique and I'll say and equally popular product, especially when you're using closed pallets, and plus here you can see that there is no wide straddle that is required, because everything is taken care of by the counterbalance design of this product. So if you have closed pallets and you don't want to sort of keep those extra clearances in racking system, which is associated with a straddle type of stacker, counterbalance stacker is the choice for that application. The only point that we have to take care here is that it will require a slightly higher aisle space as compared to a conventional stacker. The other area where it comes out to be a very handy product is in a plant environment when people avoid using forklifts, okay, and they don't want to have licensed operators which are mandatory for driving equipment like forklifts. That is another reason for people going in for counterbalance stackers, especially for moving pallets around in a plant environment. And this is also used in block stacking, where you are keeping different pallets one behind the other, one over the other. It is used for that purpose also. The other product which is available in the stacker category is the stacker with reach. I mean, I think the photograph itself is self-explanatory. So as you can note here, you don't have to keep that extra clearance that you need for accommodating the straddles, because you are having a reach mechanism to ensure that the straddles remain outside the racking system, while the reach mechanism keeps the pallet in the designated location. So that is another category of stacker which is available in the market. The next very interesting category is a double pallet stacker. Now this is a very interesting category where you have the facility to have two pallets being lifted at the same time but on different forks. Now these pallets are not one over the other. The bottom pallet, so you will first lift the pallet on the forks. So once it is up, you will use the bottom straddle, which is like a BOPT, to lift the second pallet. Now what is the advantage of this? If you have self-stacking pallets and you want to clear the staging area in half the time, then this is the product that you can use. So because you can take two pallets at a time while moving around. Other option would have been like with long forks, like you have BOPT with 2.4 meter forks to keep pallet one in front of each other, but that occupies a bit of a space and needs a bigger turning radius. So this will be a compact equipment and still do the job of carrying two pallets at a time. So this is a very interesting product which is available in the market. So after talking about hand pallet trucks, powered hand pallet truck, powered pallet truck, the complete range of stackers, the next category that we are getting into is order pickers. Now very interesting category of products, but at the same time in India this is still to pick up, even though our lot of applications are picking intensive applications, especially in e-commerce industry. It is completely pick based, and we see a lot of usage of order pickers in e-commerce industry and wherever, pharma industry, FMCG, food and beverages, wherever we have to break bulk and sort of take based on pick list, we have to supply orders. Picking becomes a very important part of that application. Now conventionally the way we have been doing is that if there is a break bulk which is required, we generally use a product like a stacker or a reach truck to take the full pallet down, break it, take the required items and put it back. That's a very slow way of handling things when you can have products which can allow you to reach the pallet and at the same time do the break bulk while you are at that height at that location. Okay, so that is the core function of a order picker. Now another sort of a debate which keeps happening is whether we can use powered pallet truck as an order picker, as a low level order picking. Now let me tell you this way that every product is defined and designed for a certain application, and you can get the maximum optimization from that application if you choose the right product for the right application. It's not that a BOPT cannot be used for BOPT can be used for like stock picking. How it can be used? You have a pallet, you are having an empty sort of a pallet in front of a BOPT. As you are moving on, you are placing boxes and making up a pick list. That is a general way low level order picking is done. But in low level order picker, if you look at the construction of this product, you will have a easy walkway. Now, if you imagine a BOPT here, every time if you have to pick from left or right, a person has to keep going around either this way or this way. But in an order picker, it is designed such that you have a walkway in between and very less sort of a space between the loading area and the rack from where you are doing the low level order picking. Okay, now sometimes it may be sort of discussed that what is the saving that we may get. Okay, the person will move maybe taking a 5 second more in a BOPT as compared to a order picker, but the point here is it's not about just those 5 seconds in one cycle. It's about those 5, 10, 15 seconds being accumulated over a period of one shift, multiple shifts, again a month and a year, and how it finally annually leads to a cost saving in terms of increased pick rates or in terms of reduced picking expenses. That is where a genuine order picker, whether it's a low level order picker or high level order picker, is always the right solution for an order picking application. Now this is the reason that many interventions, for example, in an order picker, you can have something like a quick pick function where the operator never gets on the truck. He just presses the button and the truck moves a certain distance which is pre-programmed. And by the time truck reaches there, the person has already reached there walking and it's ready with the next carton in place. So that is how small interventions help in optimizing the picking efficiency and ultimately leading to cost saving. Now again, looking at different applications, you have order pickers having different varieties. For example, something which is like a BOPT which is having fixed forks which can go up to 2.4 meter or whatever length is required. Something which is like a lifting forks or fork with scissor lift. Okay, so just to show some photographs. Now if you see from G+1 or G+2 level, in a low level order picker, you can have a lifting sort of a platform which will allow you to lift from level 1, or as simple as you can have a fold down step to pick up a carton which is kept on the top. Now these are all small interventions which are done in a product like order picker to make the order picking much more efficient. So the point that we're trying to make here is that while BOPT is a perfect product for clearing the staging area with palletized handling, like you handle full pallets with BOPTs, but as far as low level order picking or order picking per se is concerned, we should generally be using an order picker, a core order picker, to get a maximum out of that application. So there are, as I said, there are different varieties available which are defined based on application. You have something called as mid-level order picker, an order picker with mast, which also doubles up as pallet handling while doing order picking. Something called as order picker, mid-level order picker with lifting forks or fixed forks. So these are the different applications which are available, which like we can relate to for an order picking application. So few photographs being shown just to explain how an order picker is used in picking application. So these are just few photographs, but based on application, definitely a right configuration can be defined for that application. This is another interesting equipment for light order picking, so to say. Now these picks, if you can relate, these are self-explanatory in the sense when there are light loads, when you have to pick small cases very less and you're operating in environment like a retail store or something like that. This is a very interesting product to take out stock from your higher level to a lower level. And this actually is replacing your erstwhile staircase or a mobile staircase that is generally used in this environment. Okay, so now once you have this product, you can double it up for any usage. You can use this for changing bulbs at heights. You can use this for painting walls. So whatever, wherever you are using a staircase, this product which is available in the market is generally a very handy product and a very, I will use the word cute product because it works in very narrow spaces. It can turn in very narrow spaces. So this will be a very interesting product to consider for applications such as what is shown here. We have a small video just to better explain this product. So I'm sure you would have been able to understand the application of that product. This is the next product in order picking, Scutro, which is born out of an innovation research which was conducted by us, where we sort of found out a lot of fatigue factor comes in by order pickers moving over long distances in a big warehouse, especially with trolleys and all that. So as a replacement of trolley, this is the product which was conceived. I think the video would be able to give you a better idea of what we are talking about. So this product is generally for, again, low level order picking, but especially when you are using trolleys for moving long distances, this is one product that can be in consideration as a category. The next product category that we are moving on to is reach trucks, which are one of the most versatile and most used products in a warehouse environment. And again, there are different types of reach trucks which are available in the industry. Just to give a quick sort of overview, these two are something called as moving mast type reach truck. Here the mast moves ahead while on the chassis the mast moves ahead, and the other category is where the mast stays there and the carriage moves ahead on the pantograph mechanism. So basically, this is more of a European sit-down type of design, whereas this is more of a stand-up variant where the operator is generally standing and having a moving carriage. So this is more of a US design platform. This is more of a European design platform. This is just a difference in design. Otherwise, in terms of capacity, aisle space functions and all that, there are more or less comparable. So they come in variety of sizes, right from 1 ton to 1.2 ton. They have lift heights right up to 13-meter plus. Very evolved, very sophisticated piece of machinery with AC motors, canvas technology. So these are products which we call as the movers, the real movers in a warehouse environment, because they are the products which are used in the racking system to get you the maximum productivity and efficiency. Okay, now they are generally for complete palletized handling, and as I said, they should be restricted in aisle spaces for doing maximum lifting lowering function of palletized loads, while they should be fed with low-end products like powered pallet trucks or hand pallet trucks. Okay. So this is available in variety of battery sizes, variety of options, safety accessories are available, and these have to be defined as per the duty cycle, as per the application, like is the case for any product for that matter. So as I said, these are the different categories of reach trucks are there. The interesting part here is that in this category of reach truck, the double deep application is achieved by having an attachment of telescopic forks, which you mount on the forks and it reaches out. Whereas in a moving carriage type of truck, you just have two pantographs to reach the double deep. So that is how these are categorized. Just a video to show an application of a reach truck. So this is, as you would have seen, the reach out of the mast and placing of the pallet. Now in this, what is important to note here is, like we covered this aspect in the general concepts in material handling in the first webinar. Now when we are defining a reach truck for any application, it is important for us to understand the application in totality, because there are different types of racking system which are available in the market, single deep, double deep racking, and based on the SKUs, a particular type of racking system is chosen. So again, it is important that if you are choosing a double deep racking, the product is also selected in a way that it is able to reach the second deep. We have to keep provision for the straddle to get inside for this category of truck. Whereas if we are using telescopic forks on a single deep reach truck, you may not need this provision, but the capacity requirements may be different in these two category of products. So the important point to note here is that every application is unique. There is no one size that fits all. So please take help of experts in this industry to define the right product for your application. The next category of equipment that we are talking about is very narrow aisle equipment. Now these are gaining prominence more and more in today's time when the real estate prices are really shooting through the roof. So companies are looking for solutions which, while combining the benefits of product like reach trucks, powered pallet trucks, order pickers, can they get one product which can give them everything rolled into one and still give them the advantage of height, capacities and the throughputs. So in that category, we have something called as a man-up turret stock picker, which is available as a general standard category in the market. Here, a person goes up along with the cabin. At any point of time, he is near the load to do the either an order picking or a pallet put away. It's available in the capacity of 1 ton to 1.5 ton. It can go up to a height of 17 meters. Has a very high throughput capacity, but the only point that we have to be careful about is that the flooring requirement for this product is absolutely super flat smooth, and you need to sort of invest in super flat flooring to get the maximum advantage out of this product, and plus you need to have a guidance system for this product to have the highest throughput in the aisles. So whether you're doing full pallet handling or order picking, you can do both with this category of product. So for cold storage application or for long load handling, we can customize these category of products. Just a quick video.
Very narrow aisle electric turret truck creates lean manufacturing cells capable of adapting to your workflows. The reliable TSP truck delivers loads rapidly along a 6-foot wide aisle. Designed with operator safety in mind, the TSP truck's pivoting forks and best-in-class lift capacity allow the operator to easily transport materials between racks without having to turn around. The TSP truck's narrow footprint has the potential to double your production throughput and save money by cutting component travel up to 70% and reducing inventory on hand as much as 85%. It's a flexible truck that keeps the operator in the driver's seat, whether that's managing production schedules or responding to urgent customer demands.
In this new era of warehousing speed, you need tools that can keep up. You need trucks that can set a new pace.
As you would have seen, this product category can give you the maximum throughput, can go up to 17 meters and work in as narrow a aisle as 1.7, 1.8 meters. So the next category in the narrow aisle truck is the articulated forklift, which combines the advantage of a very versatile forklift. Now you don't need a special flooring for a product like articulated forklift, because if you can look at the size of the wheels, it is actually a forklift which operates in a narrow aisle. Now while we are on this slide, it is important for you to explain, which we explained in the general concepts, that by the nature of the design, a forklift will occupy the maximum space in terms of aisle space between the racks, which will be in the range of anything between 4 to 4.5 meters, depending on which category of forklift is being chosen. While a stacker will require something like 2.6 to 2.8 meters, but can go up to only 6.3 meters. A reach truck requires about 3 to 3.2 meters. If we compare it with a forklift, which is 4.5 meters, a turret stock picker, as I said, 1.7 to 1.8 meters, but it needs super flat flooring. But this product, in spite of being a forklift, because of its articulating design, you don't need a super flat floor, but it can still operate in 1.8 to 2 meters. So that is the unique advantage of articulated forklift. So these are few photographs which are showcasing the product in actual application. So the next category is tow trucks and platform trucks. As I said, they are not in class 2 and class 3, and they are not necessarily a warehouse sort of warehouse truck, but in lot of automobile companies and railway yards, when you have non-palletized loads or you have loads which are on trolleys, which are on wheels, you need to carry them over long distances. So for that, you have products such as tow trucks and platform trucks. Different types of tow trucks are available, either stand-up type or sit-down type, different capacities, right from 3 ton to 6 ton capacity tow trucks. So this is a typical application photograph, as you can note from this photograph. So there is a item or an SKU on a wheeled trolley, and which is being lugged by a tow truck. Just a small video to showcase how this operates. The next category is a platform truck. The platform truck again is a product which is used for handling non-palletized loads. As I mentioned that in many industries like power industry, or especially in railways, workshops and all that, you have many products like castings or something which are non-palletized, and you need to carry them from one point to another. This product comes in very handy, especially in those environments when you have to operate outside the plant environment and the flooring is it's like a normal road condition, and other products will not be useful in such an environment. Just a video to showcase. With this, we have come to the last segment of this presentation. But before I go there, we have today not spent much time on batteries, chargers, and the related technology, because we wanted chargers and the related topic are a very sort of an extensive topic. Maybe we'll have a session which is dedicated to batteries and chargers based on feedback from our attendees. But I think that requires a complete different session for us to explain. Now coming to this warehouse flooring. Now we have to understand that as in we are not subject matter expert in flooring. The only thing that we can say that any product which is a warehouse truck is having wheels which are relatively smaller in size as compared to forklifts, and the ground clearances are also less. So it is important that a lot of attention is paid to the right type of flooring which is used in any warehouse or a plant environment where we intend to use our equipment. Now, because if we use a substandard floor or a floor which is not having adequate strength and it breaks, then it is going to affect or impact the operation of the equipment. Not only that, it will lead to more wear and tear of the equipment, leading to more maintenance expenses, and not to mention that the supply chain breaks that will continuously keep happening because of repeated breakdown of the equipment that are being used in a not so conducive environment. One more point I must sort of explain here, which again I said in my webinar, the first webinar, that many times we feel that epoxy is the solution for a rough flooring, which is not necessarily right, because epoxy is at the end of the day a rubber member, and if you're trying to fill up a crevice or an aberration through an epoxy, it will hold only as long as it's able to sustain the weight of the product which is moving over it. And epoxy, as I mentioned, is not a weight carrying member. It is generally used in a environment where there are stationary machines which are kept and where there are people moving. If we use epoxy in areas where an equipment is moving, beyond a point of time that epoxy is going to get damaged, and again the rough flooring will get exposed. Now, with that small sort of note on or a caution on the right type of flooring, we have come to the end of this presentation. Now, I'm open to questions that our attendees have posted during this period.
Thank you, sir. So, so the first question which we got from one of our attendees in the very beginning was, so what are the safety requirements in operating a powered pallet truck?
So this is a very broad question. When we say safety requirements, so as I mentioned, first of all, we have to be sure that we are handling the right load capacity. We are not overloading the equipment. That is point number one. Point number two is we need to ensure, as I mentioned recently, that it is operating on a decent floor, a relatively decent floor, not a very rough floor where it has to go through crevices and sort of broken patches and all that. So that's the second thing. And third thing is a bit of sort of operator training continuously, operator orientation is continuously required to ensure that there is no overspeeding over a period of time. They are not sort of speeding at turns, curves and all that. So this is the third aspect that we need to be careful about. And of course, the load which is being handled on pallets needs to be stable. Like in the sense that if there are loose cartons or loose drums which are susceptible to sort of fall off, so either they should be strapped or a self-stacking cartons or something like that should be used so that there is no sort of damage to the SKUs being handled. I think these are the few checkpoints that we need to have. But the first thing is right product for the right application.
Sir, so now the next question we asked was that using a powered hand pallet truck or a powered pallet truck, which would be a better option?
A powered hand pallet truck and a powered pallet truck, these are two equipment meant for specific application. For example, if an application was using a hand pallet truck earlier, okay, and they want to graduate to the next level, but the working area or the operating area is still the same. It's not very big. You are still moving, say 10 meter, 15, 20, 30 meters to move the pallets from one point to another, but you are facing a shortage of labor. Earlier, if you were using, say 5 or 6 hand pallet trucks, but you have only 3 operators who have turned up now, but you need those 5 pallets to be handled in a certain period of time. So you will need a powered hand pallet truck. Okay, but if your application is such where an operator has to move long distances and it has to clear a staging area, as I was mentioning, and it has to take pallets from one point to another continuously. Okay, it has to feed the racking system where a reach truck or a articulated or a turret stock picker is moving. In those applications, we need to have a powered pallet truck which is having a platform where an operator can stand and ride along with the truck rather than walking behind, as in the case of powered hand pallet truck. Of course, both products come with respective investments. A powered hand pallet truck will have a lower investment as compared to a powered pallet truck, but I think it would make sense to first define the right product and then see how to optimize the investment.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is, in a wide aisle, which is recommended, a reach truck or an electric stacker?
It's a very good question, I will say, because many times there are those gray areas where both products are fitting into those basic application boxes. For example, the lift height that is required, or the load capacity that needs to be handled. And suppose the pallet type is not a constraint, like you can use either a stacker or a reach truck. Now in such a situation, what do we choose between the two? Now if we talk about the commercials, a stacker definitely will have a much lesser commercial as compared to a reach truck. I mean, it may be a reach truck may be 2 or 2.5x of a stacker, if not more, depending on what configuration we are going in. But the main thing that has to be seen is, in totality, we have to see is what is the throughput which is required. Now, if the throughput is required very fast, and if you want to do very fast movement of pallet in, pallet out, okay, and those spurts are happening regularly during the duty cycle, during the application time, so it is recommended that we go in for a reach truck. Now, at the same time, if the throughput defines that instead of one stacker, which is a pedestrian equipment, you will need two stackers. Okay, if the throughput is defining such, or maybe three stackers, I would have recommended that a consideration should be given to a reach truck in that application, because one reach truck will be able to take care of a throughput of 2 or 2.5 stackers. Okay, and the other aspect is a 3 stacker is 3 pieces of equipment and that much more traffic in whatever environment we are talking about. If you replace that with one reach truck, then you have only one equipment moving around, not to mention the number of operators will be less and all that, which is like commonsensical. So I think between the two, the right choice will have to be what is the throughput that you need to achieve. If your throughput is not very high, there is no point in investing in reach truck. Okay, if your throughput is such which can be managed by a product like stacker and all the parameters are being met, stacker is the right product, and that's the way it is in most of the applications. A stacker is found to be suitable in most of applications where palletized load is being handled 5 meters, 6 meters. That's how it's happening in the industry.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is really interesting. So the question is, what is the difference in the equipment specs for a cold room or a freezer application?
See, a freezer truck, yeah, I mean that's a very interesting and a very good question, because many times people are slightly not so clear about what needs to be taken care of when we are going in for a cold store modified equipment. So first of all, the difference is that when we are moving in a sub-zero temperature environment, the hydraulic oil is different. Okay, you need to have a low viscosity oil to be able to sustain in that environment. Otherwise, your lifting lowering functions will get jammed if you go with the same viscosity of oil. The second point is you need to have some heaters on your motors and all that to keep it sort of warm and operational and all that. And the next point is that you also need to be very sure that your equipment is in operation inside the truck, inside the cold store, because if you park the truck inside the cold store, then your other sort of components like linkages and all that, they may face some sort of a extended wear and tear. So for that reason, it is always recommended that you have something called as anti-room between the cold store and the ambient environment, so that whenever there is a truck which is taken for cold store, it is parked only in anti-room. It is not taken directly to the ambient temperature, because if we take it directly to the ambient temperature, there will be a lot of condensation which will happen on the truck, and immediately after the condensation, if the truck is not allowed to dry and have that water completely rinsed off, and the same truck is taken inside the cold store again, those water droplets will turn into icicles or small pieces of ice, and if they complete the circuit in a electrical circuitry and all that, it will lead to shortage of controller or can create some sort of a safety hazard in such an environment, and of course a breakdown. So these are the checkpoints that we need to have when we are selecting an equipment for cold store and operating an equipment in a cold store.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is about maintenance of VNAs. So can you elaborate more on those? And for our overseas customers, are there spares available in Europe?
See, I mean, we can talk about India per se. That yes, spare parts. As far as we as in company is concerned, the spare parts definitely whatever category we deal in, those spare parts definitely are available. As far as the maintenance practices are concerned, it's a very broad question, because like in any category of equipment or anything that we procure, which is a machinery, it has its own set of guidelines as far as maintenance is concerned. For a product like material handling equipment, like oils, maintenance of maintaining of oils, greases, wear and taking care of the wear and tear of wheels. Okay, these are the few things in a warehouse type of equipment that have to be taken care of to ensure longevity of these products. Otherwise, as defined by the OEM, the maintenance scheduled and those replacement of those wearable items has to be done with that frequency.
Okay, sir. The next question is also very interesting. So can these trucks be used as order pickers?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question, because um, in India, we have seen cases where people have used cages which are mounted on a reach truck, and they have placed a person there on that cage, and which is carried up, and that's how a reach truck gets converted into an order picker, and that person goes up, takes the carton or whatever SKUs, keeps it in that cage and comes down. But let me tell you, the answer is no. We do not recommend it at all. It is a very unsafe practice. Uh, we will, I mean, as long as nothing is happening, everything is fine. But just one incident is needed to get the company into any sort of problem, and this is certainly not the right way of order picking uh, using a cage in a reach truck. The other way of order picking, as I was explaining during my presentation, was wherein have uh, you bring the full pallet down, uh, take whatever is required and put the pallet back. That is another way of order picking which is done. Uh, that I can say, okay, that is if that meets the purpose, and if order picking is required to be done once in a while, so you need not invest in a dedicated order picker for that application. Okay, once in a while, because whatever time it will be required, it will not be required to be taken every time. But if it is a regular operation, then your speed of operation will get heavily compromised if we use the reach truck as an order picker, like the way I've explained, taking the pallet down, breaking it, and then putting it back. It is a very inefficient way of converting a reach truck into an order picker, and putting a cage is an absolutely unsafe and totally unrecommended way of converting a reach truck into an order picker.
Thank you, sir. Uh, so the next question, could you please explain the different classes of MHE equipment, material handling equipment again?
Okay, so I will just get back to the same slide for me to just explain that once again. Now, these are the different classes. I hope it is visible to everyone. We are on the slide which is showing the different classification of forklifts. So the class 1 is the electric forklift, and class 4 and 5 are the diesel forklifts. So this is the electric forklift in the entire range, and class 4 and 5 are the engine powered forklifts. So based on the tire type, they are either class 4 or 5. So 1, 4 and 5 are forklifts. 2 and 3 are generally what we call as warehouse trucks, because they are generally used in warehouses. Class 2 being products like reach trucks, turret stock pickers, which are rider narrow aisle trucks, and class 3 are products like powered pallet trucks, stackers, which are generally like pedestrian equipment. You would not have operator cabin as such. You will have something like a platform or something, and that's why this is a class 3 category of products. So 1, 4 and 5 are forklifts, 2 and 3 are warehouse trucks. Moving on, class 6 are the tow trucks and the platform trucks that we spoke about. These are the tuggers in simple language. These are the rough terrain forklifts like telehandlers and all that. By the look of it, you can see that this is a different category of products. And so this is class 7. Class 8 is the burden carriers, as we call them, the hand pallet trucks, powered pallet trucks, hand pallet trucks, manual stackers, and semi-electric stackers. These are categorized in class 8, which is the next categorization in this categorization matrix that we have just shown. Hope this is useful.
Thank you, sir. Now, so next is also a very good question from operations side. So, do we need skilled operators to use articulated forklifts?
See, we need skilled operators for operating any equipment. If I put it this way, but for articulated forklift, the only thing that has to be different from a conventional equipment is that in a conventional equipment like a reach truck, you turn the equipment, align it in front of the rack, and then you move ahead to do a stacking, destacking. Whereas in articulated forklift, you are just articulating the mast, not turning the equipment. You're just articulating the mast and then moving ahead. So there is a training module which is available for operators who are going to use the articulated forklifts, and once that training is imparted, they are as good as any operator. So no special skills are required for articulated truck operators. There are many installations of articulated forklifts in India and abroad, and people are able to get the desired throughput out of these machines with well-skilled, highly trained and very productive operators. So there is no special category of operators which is required for articulated forklifts.
Just for a follow-up question, are there any special trainings or licenses required to operate the power trucks or warehouse equipment?
See, as per the statutory guidelines, a general, so there is a category forklift which is now mentioned in the license also, especially in Maharashtra. So it is now recommended that a product like forklift must be operated by an operator which is having a license, a normal driving license, preferred a forklift license, but at least a license he must have. As far as product like stackers and BOPTs are concerned, the guidelines are not very clear whether a license is required or not required, but it is always recommended that whenever an operator is taken on board, having a license is always a preferred requirement than not having one, because a BOPT operator today, you may want him to use as a forklift operator at some point of time. So, and a forklift operator should be a licensed operator. So in that sense, yes, a license is required.
Thank you, sir. So coming to flooring, so we have one interesting question. So what kind of flooring is recommended for a ramp? So a smooth flooring or a slightly rough flooring to get grip while going up?
See, as far as ramp is concerned, they are not exactly a part of a warehouse, so to say. This is like a connection between maybe a road and leading into a plant or a warehouse. Now, that can be a normal cement floor with adequate strength to take the load of if we are using a forklift or something to move over that equipment. But the flatness or the smoothness is not that necessary because the wheels of the forklifts are big enough to take care of the rough and tough. But yes, the strength part, if we say, the strength part has to be good enough for it to sustain the weight of a product like forklift. So as far as roughness and smoothness of ramp is concerned, it should be it should be okay. Like not there's nothing like a very lot of attention has to be paid. Like it has to be very smooth and all that. It should be a normal sort of a ramp with adequate strength. That's all I can recommend.
So the next question is on screw throw. So here one of the attendees asked that a screw throw is a completely manual equipment. So what are the safety features, or basically how are we taking safety, what safety considerations do we take into account when an operator uses screw throw?
Right. So the first comment, which is the part of the question, is actually the answer. It's actually a manual equipment. Okay, so in that sense, it never reaches that speed which will become a threat or a non-safe equipment for anybody, because you are the operator is in control of that product at any point of time. Okay, if we could have noticed the movement of that product, he himself is sort of giving speed to that product, and plus as an added measure there is a braking system which is available in the rear wheel, which is very easy to operate, and that brings the product to a almost like a dead stop. And then there is a bell also which is there to alert the people around, and the whole sort of idea behind conceiving that product is to make it as simplistic and as maintenance free as possible, so that people can use it over a long period of time without worrying too much about regular maintenance and things associated with a conventional product like trolley, where you have to continuously oil the wheels and they're susceptible to some damages here and there. This is a product which is designed to be simple, safe, and in control of the operator at any point of time.
Yeah, so next question is also safety related. What are the safety features required for the stackers, especially when using loose goods like paper rolls or plastic rolls, where roll clamps are not used?
Sorry, Anand, but the question is not very clear. Can you just like detail it a bit?
Yeah, so the question is basically more about what kind of precautions or what actions can be taken if loose rolls are to be handled using stackers.
See, it's difficult to comment on this question, because unless we see the nature of the product, I mean, just I mean, if you visualize a roll being handled with a forked equipment having forks, the immediate thought that comes to mind is that how do we prevent it rolling off, or how do we pick it? So many times there are cantilever racking systems which are used, where you just pick up the roll and you take it to the location, and maybe some wedges you can sort of weld on the forks so that it doesn't roll over. that is all what I can conceive as safe handling of rolls using stacker. The other way can be if, depending on the size of that rolls or the nature of that roll, plastic, paper and all that, if they are palletized. If they are palletized, then of course like a pallet, and they are like palletized and they are stable on that pallet. Then you can use a stacker to pick it up. That is all what I can sort of conceive without actually having a look at the application. Maybe if we are invited for an application study to understand, maybe we can give a more accurate solution.
Noted, sir. Thank you. So the next question is interesting. So the question says that is there a forklift available which can be used for repairing overhead lamps or overhead cranes?
Yes, so as I mentioned, there is something called as access equipment, which we have not covered in this segment. But that is another category of equipment where you have people, maybe one or two people, along with tools going up to a certain height to do maintenance or changing bulbs or repairing ducts at heights or overhead cranes at height. So there's specific equipment even for that, which is known as access platforms. They can be scissor based platforms. They can be like you can station it at one point and they go up and down at the same location, or you can have something called as self-propelled. While you are at height, you can also move while you are at height. So there are those category of equipment which are available. Access equipment is the right category of equipment for that.
So the next question is about stackers. So what he has asked is that what is the maximum weight which someone can expect to lift using an electric stacker at a height of 6.3 meters?
So 650 kgs is what it can lift at a load center of 600 mm. Like your pallet size should not be longer than say 1200 mm along the forks is what it can lift. Yeah.
Okay. So and the next question is what is the maximum load which a Scootro can handle?
See, a Scootro can handle about say 100 kgs at any point of time. But the main point that we sort of quantify it is not a load carrier, it's a throughput carrier. So the way we would like to quantify it is that if we are using a trolley to move 300 kgs at a time from point A to point B, and there's a certain time which is required in doing that. Can we move say 100 kgs at a time, but at a much faster speed, and do 400 kg in the same time this cycle of trolley is completed? So instead of focusing on load, we always recommend that it should be focused on the throughput that you are getting out of a product like Scootro.
Thank you, sir. So the next question says, is there a product that has pneumatic tires and a carrying capacity of around 1 to 1.5 metric tons, which is battery operated and can be used both indoors and outdoors?
Yeah. So this will come in the category of forklifts. If we want to use both inside and outside, definitely a forklift can be the right solution for such an application. But again, an application can never be explained or understood in just one line, like inside and outside, because what is being handled, what is the environment outside, what is going to be handled inside, is there enough space for the forklift to move inside or not? Can we actually have this as the right solution that forklift is moving inside and outside, or there can be better solution which are giving more sort of productivity and more efficiency to that application, is something that needs to be understood. But theoretically, technically, electric forklift or diesel forklift for that matter are equally capable to work inside and outside.
Thank you, sir. So when we talk about stackers, can a stacker work 24/7 in an application?
I would latch this question to the same question which was asked earlier about the where do we select a reach truck versus a stacker. Okay. So if it is a 24/7 application, I would rather recommend a reach truck over a stacker. So not to say that stacker will not work 24/7, but depending on the load to which it is being subjected, load as in the duty cycle to which it is being subjected, the sustainability of a reach truck will be much higher vis-a-vis a stacker. Okay, so because the lifting motors, the traction motors of a stacker are defined like they should be defined for a pedestrian equipment. We have to understand there is a person who is supposed to either walk or ride on a platform like surface with a stacker, whereas a reach truck is a person is sitting or rather inside the equipment while he is operating. So we can really imagine what productivity can we expect from a pedestrian equipment vis-a-vis a reach truck, and this is all in relative terms, absolutely in relative terms. So technically, theoretically, 24/7 application, if it is that intense, I would rather recommend a reach truck, like as a category.
Thank you, sir. So unfortunately, this is where we must hard stop owing to the shortage of time.
Okay.
To all our attendees, thank you for coming, and our technical experts will get back to you if there are any questions left unanswered. Abhishek sir, I would really thank you a lot for taking your time and sharing this vast knowledge with us on MHEs. And finally, I would like to thank all our attendees again for coming here and being here with us for this knowledgeable session. Hope you have a very pleasant weekend. Stay healthy, stay safe.
One more thing, Anand, before we end, there is a feedback link which is being shared. I would request if everybody can fill that feedback form with your recommendations and what you would like to hear from us, or what topic would you like to like us to cover. It will be a great input for us, and we'll be keep coming back to you with the topics that you want. And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend this webinar. Thank you.